I always grew up watching those 80 camp slasher flicks, and always thought if I was put in a situation like that, I'd make the smart choices and escape without a scratch. I never thought I'd come face to face with my own real-life slasher moment. I am currently 25, but this experience took place when I was 20. They say being in your 20s is the time to travel and experience life to the fullest, so that's what I did. During the summer, I decided to do a solo camping trip, but like you know, rule 1, never go camping alone. I went on a trip to this place just outside of Winter Park. I found a perfect camping spot and had a 10-person tent all to myself. I planned to stay for 3 days since it was almost a day's drive from where I lived. There wasn't much around me, and the camping spot was nice. Just me and the empty forest to relax and detox from everything and everyone. Something about nature has always felt so calm, and as if the air was lighter. I have been camping since I was little, so setting everything up took maybe around 30 minutes. While I was setting up, I remember feeling uneasy as if there was someone watching me or something from the direction of the lake, but thought nothing of it. Simply chucked it up to being paranoid because I was alone. I'm a huge swimmer, so once I set up, I made my way to the lake. It was an eye shot of where my tent was, so I felt safe leaving my stuff unattended. The water was a little murky and quite deep, but it was so hot that it didn't deter me. I swam for a bit until I noticed what looked like someone standing in the tree line near my tent. I froze as I just stared to make sure I wasn't just seeing things, but my adrenaline must have kicked in because I swam back to the shore. But once my head breached the surface of the water, whoever it was now gone. I broke rule number 1 of slasher flicks, running right towards someone or something that could put me in danger. I decided to ignore it, which was really dumb, but I went on with my day. Little did I know this would be the only day that I spent there, which went against my original plan. I decided that I would make a fire and enjoy the sun. When you're camping, you have to make hot dogs over the fire at least once. I went to my cooler, but as I opened it, I had troubles finding the pack of hot dogs. I even took everything out, but my hot dogs were gone. I could have sworn I packed them. I thought nothing of it and grabbed some hamburgers I brought instead. As they were cooking, this is where things get weird. It was as if trees and twigs were moving from all directions around me. It felt as though I was being circled like prey hunts for their next meal. The bush was too thick to see much. I had to rely on what I was hearing. I should have left right then and there. The sun had set at this point, and I decided to call it a night. I remember how loud the crickets were. I had laid there for a long time until I had realized it had become dead silent. I felt sick to my stomach, as if I knew something was about to happen. I was too scared to move. I felt as though even breathing was too loud and would attract whatever was outside my tent. The silence broke with the sound of something touching the tent above my head. I stayed frozen. My first thought was probably a bear or something, even a deer. It felt eerily slow, but before I could do anything, something poked through my tent, ripping the side of the fabric, and I screamed. It wasn't intentional, but I couldn't handle it. I still wasn't sure what broke through my tent, but as my eyes adjusted, I saw a tall, dark figure on the other side of the hole in my tent. A huge hunting knife was cutting my tent effortlessly. Instantly, I rushed towards the door and unzipped it. I made sure I had my keys in my hand and booked it to the car, unlocking it as I ran. I didn't look back to see if they were following me. The ground ate rubber as I tailed out of there. The closest town was maybe 30 minutes away, and by the time I got there, I realized I didn't have my phone. Later that day, when the sun came up, I returned to pack up my stuff. Everything remained untouched, minus my tent cut to pieces and the words. Everything remained untouched, minus my tent being cut into pieces and a word cut into it. Carved into the side of my tent said, "Watching you." Laying in my tent was my phone, and when I opened it, I noticed the camera was left open. Hesitantly, I opened the camera roll, and there was one new photo. A photo of me driving off with the knife in the photo, almost like they were pointing it at the car. I never returned, and I never will. I saw aliens. I swear on everything. I have always been a believer of the unexplainable and the chance of possible life outside of our own human race. I grew up always watching people's experiences and always found it fascinating. This summer, I experienced it firsthand, and it has changed my life. Sitting outside is my favorite thing to do during the summer, especially at night. The stars are perfect to me, and they know the many secrets of the universe. I was sitting in my hammock reading The Hunger Games for the 100th time, because it is a great series. Above my book, something caught my attention. It looked like a star, but it was moving. You might say it might have been a shooting star, but the difference was this thing wasn't moving horizontally, but instead moving in straight lines, going up and down and left and right, which was odd and not normal. I lowered my book and just watched it in fascination and curiosity. After a while, I noticed it was getting lower and lower to the ground, and as it got lower to the ground, the brighter it seemed to glow. It was blinding, almost as bright as the sun, and I couldn't look away. I wondered what was driving the ship or craft and why it was here tonight. I wondered what it wanted. Could it have been the Greys that I had always heard so much about, or could it have been something different like our own government? It stayed for maybe 10 minutes until the bright light emanated from the ship and shot up, and my eyes followed it until I couldn't see it anymore. I will always be grateful for this experience, because people would do anything to experience and see something like aliens or UFOs. Maybe one day they will come back, but the next time, maybe they won't leave. Hi, my name is Charlie. I'm currently 20 years old, and I have turned 18 during the summer. When I turned 18 during the summer, I found myself on the hunt for a job. It was then that I stumbled upon a program called Camp America, offering a unique opportunity for people from the UK to venture to the United States and earn money by working in a summer camp. It didn't take much to convince me. I had never been to the United States, and the idea of experiencing it while making some money sounded like a dream come true. Several months passed and I found myself in America. I was transported to the camp where I would be working, Camp Shady Brook, nestled in the heart of Colorado. The prospect excited me. I had always been enamored by forests and mountains, a stark contrast to the relatively barren landscapes of the UK. As the days rolled on, my anticipation grew. My first night at Camp Shady Brook was a memorable one. With the arrival of the children, my duties as a counselor began in earnest, guiding them through activities and ensuring that they had a blast made for a fulfilling day. Exhausting yet content, I retired to my own cabin as the sun dipped below the horizon, preparing to recharge for the adventures that lay ahead. I entered the dimly lit cabin. It was dark and there was no lights, so I used one of the flashlights to see. The flashlight's feeble beam cast eerie shadows on the walls. As I fumbled for the switch, a sudden chill ran down my spine. I heard faint whispers, as if carried by the wind through the trees outside. Ignoring the unease, I managed to locate a set of matches and lit a few candles around the room, their flickering light pushing back the encroaching darkness. With the cabin illuminated by the soft glow of the candles, I tried to shake off the feeling of being watched. As I settled into my sleeping bag, I heard a rustling sound coming from outside. I dismissed it as an animal and closed my eyes, hoping to drift into a peaceful sleep. But sleep proved elusive that night. Strange noises echoed through the woods, and the whispers seemed to grow louder. Eventually, I must have dozed off, but my slumber was restless and plagued by unsettling dreams. I woke up in a cold sweat, unsure if it was still night or if the morning had finally arrived. As the rays of dawn filtered through the cabin's windows, I ventured outside, hoping the light of day would dispel the lingering unease. The campgrounds, usually vibrant and bustling, felt different. The atmosphere was heavy, and there was an unnatural silence that hung in the air. The campers and fellow counselors moved about, but their movements seemed slower and almost mechanical. Over the next few days, the feeling of unease persisted. I shared my concerns with some of the other counselors, but they brushed it off as a result of adjusting to a new environment. However, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Late one evening, as the sun began to set, and the woods cast long shadows, I followed the source of the whispers. The voices led me deeper into the forest until I stumbled upon an overgrown path that seemed to beckon me. Against my better judgment, I walked along the path, the voices growing louder and more distinct. Suddenly, I came upon a clearing where an ancient-looking tree stood. Its twisted branches reached for the sky. Around the tree, I saw figures, ethereal and indistinct, moving in a slow, hypnotic dance. Their whispers coalesced into a haunting melody that filled the air. As I watched, transfixed, I felt a presence behind me. Turning, I saw a shadowy figure, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. It beckoned me closer, and before I knew it, I was a part of the eerie dance. Time lost all its meaning as I moved with the spectral figures, caught in a trance. It wasn't until a sudden gust of wind jolted me back to reality, and I realized the danger I was in. With the surge of willpower, I tore myself away from the dance and stumbled back down the path, the whispers fading behind me. I returned to camp, my mind in turmoil, unsure if what I had experienced was real or a hallucination. I confided in an older counselor who revealed the chilling truth. Camp Shady Brook had a dark history, an ancient legend of forbidden ritual performed by the indigenous peoples who had inhabited the land. The ritual was said to grant those who partook in it unimaginable power, but came at a terrible cost. I knew I had to leave the camp to break free from this sinister grasp. With the help of the older counselor, we devised a plan to escape during the night, when the spectral dance was likely to occur again. As we made our way through the dark woods, the whispering tried to draw us back, but we pushed forward. Finally, we reached the camp's perimeter and didn't look back until we were a safe distance away. As the first light of dawn broke through the horizon, we knew we had escaped the clutches of Camp Shady Brook. The experience forever changed me, and the constant reminder of the thin veil between the mundane and the macabre, and the darkness that can lurk beneath even the most idealistic settings. I never believed in the paranormal until I came across something absolutely terrifying. It was a dark summer night, and the sky was pitch black and covered in the stars. The only thing making the source of light were the worn-out, run-down streetlights that lit up if you were lucky. Me and my friends Brittany, Keith, Chloe, and myself, Clark, went for a walk one night. We've been wanting to explore some abandoned or possibly haunted places, but I was never much of a believer of ghosts or anything like that until I actually seen something like it. We came across one house that was pretty large. It was always in the area, but no one ever thought much about it. It was a darker gray color, with the paint starting to show its age. The windows were boarded up, and the property looked like it hadn't been taken care of in years, so we figured it was abandoned. As we walked onto the property, it kinda gave me a chill down my spine. I felt cold and a little nervous. Something didn't feel right about this place. The front of the house was as creepy as I thought. There were 2 dead trees surrounding the front. Thorn bushes covered the walkway, and there was this window that was at the top of the house. It was unboarded and dark. It felt as if there was eyes constantly watching you. Me and my friends opened the front door. It made this constant squeaking noise, like it hadn't been opened in ages. We all walked in. "Do you guys see that?" said Chloe. Everybody replied, "No." Chloe closed her eyes for a few seconds and opened them again. "It's gone. Maybe I'm losing my mind." But was she? What if she did see something? What if that's the reason why nobody comes around this place? I started to feel a lot more cold, but I'm sure it's nothing. Let's split up into 2s. I'll go with Brittany, Chloe and Keith will stick together. Sounds like a plan. Keith was excited, you could tell. He always had a thing for Chloe, but always got scared when anyone ever brought it up. Maybe he will make his move this time. We went into our pairs and split up. Me and Brittany searched the main floor. She grabbed my hand. I had never seen her this scared before. Maybe she had seen something too. "Are you okay?" I asked Brittany. "Yeah, I'm okay. I just don't know what to expect." "Yeah, me too," I said. My voice was a little shaky. The room started to get darker and Brittany let go of my hand. "Brittany, where'd you go?" I heard breathing, heavy breathing. I got closer and closer and eventually it stopped. I heard a laugh. "Brittany, is that you?" The breathing started again. I felt it this time, right on the back of my neck. Chills started to go through my body. Suddenly the lights came back on, but Brittany still was nowhere to be seen. Keith and Chloe came back down the stairs. "Hey, you guys, nothing up?" "Chloe!" screamed Keith. Chloe was being dragged back up the stairs. Keith stood there, not knowing what to do, just shocked on what he'd just seen. It was tall, skinny. It had dark eyes like you're staring at complete emptiness. Its smile was crooked and horrifying. It was like nothing he had ever seen before. "Keith, are you all right? Where's Chloe?" "Didn't you see? It took her. She's gone, Clark." "No, we didn't see anything." I'm realizing something now. Chloe first saw something as we entered the house. Now she's gone, but only Keith's seen it. The people that can see it are its next victims. "Keith, you gotta get out of here." "Are you nuts? We need to find Chloe," Keith said in shock. "We will find her, I promise. Just please get out of here. I'll explain later." The front door slammed shut in front of our eyes. "Guys, coming down the stairs." Coming down the stairs was the figure. It crawled like it was unhuman, twitching its head as if it was watching you. It came down the stairs and stood on its two legs, hovering over the three of us, at least 8 feet tall. Its dark, unblinking eyes were terrifying. Its ghostly crooked fingers slowly pointing at the floor, carving, "This is for you, Keith." Pulling out Chloe's necklace just stained in blood. Keith slammed down on both of his knees and started shedding tears. It grabbed Keith and crawled back up the stairs, violently pulling Keith with it. Blood started to drip across his face as he hit each step going up. The figure picked up Keith and hung him on the chandelier over the doorway. I started to panic. I was freaking out. I felt like passing out, but I needed to snap out of it. Brittany, where are you?" I began to panic even more. "Don't worry, everything will be okay," I started to tell myself, but really I was terrified. I just lost 2 of my best friends and possibly even a third. I'm scared. No, not scared. I was petrified. I laid there on the ground, unable to move. "Brittany, is that you?" Someone was standing over me, but it's too dark to see clearly who it is. "It's me, Clark. Brittany, don't worry, I'm okay. But I don't think you will." She raised the knife and tried to stab me in the leg. It missed, but barely. The knife skidded my leg a bit. I got up and started running towards the door, but the door was locked. I looked behind me in fear. Brittany was gone. "Clark, help me!" I looked over, and there she was. The figure was using its finger to carve something in her arm. "Believe in ghosts yet, Clark?" I backed up a bit and pushed through the old squeaky door, and it broke. I started running and running like I've never ran before. I looked back and seen nothing, just the tall grass blowing in the wind. I got home and I bandaged myself up. Just a few cuts and scratches. I laid in bed and laid here alone for a bit until I fell asleep. The next day I went back. I walked up to the front door. Someone was sitting on the front porch. Believe in ghosts yet? It was Brittany. Hello, and thank you so much if you made it to the end of the video. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to let me know you'd like to see more content like this. If you have any stories you'd like to share that could be in a future video, make sure to head over to Reddit, or you can send it through email. My Reddit and email will be shown on the screen. Thank you so much for watching and have a good morning, evening, or night. Bye guys!